Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This has been an excellent day for Dr. Ron Paul, and I would like to congratulate him on two distinct matters. First of all, on his fundraising success for the August 20th through the 21st, when his money bomb accumulated $1.75 million and counting. The original goal was $1.5 million to celebrate Dr. Paul's 76th birthday. However, unfortunately, late during August 20th, a hacking attack disabled crucial portions of the Ron Paul 2012 website. As John Tate, the campaign manager for Ron Paul, put it, now the establishment has tried to shut down Ron Paul's message on his own website, which, in my view, is quite disturbing. Nonetheless, the fundraising event came through, and Ron Paul supporters were galvanized by the extension of the fundraising goal by another $250,000, and they came through with that. I took part in that fundraising effort. I donated $100 of my own money, which actually was my first political donation ever. I generally stay out of that level of involvement in political campaigns. However, I believe that this time around, it is essential to do our best to try to get Ron Paul elected. This is essentially his last time running for office. During the 2016 elections, he would be 80 years old. And as a result, if he doesn't get elected president now, he will not get elected president again. And I really think that if he did get elected president, this country would experience an unprecedented turnaround, a new era of liberty and prosperity, the likes of which the world has not yet seen. The second distinct success, for which I would like to congratulate Dr. Paul, is his performance in the New Hampshire Straw Poll. This was a straw poll primarily meant to gauge the sentiment of young Republican voters, and 302 ballots were cast in that poll. Understandably, that total is a bit low, but 45% of those ballots were cast in favor of Dr. Paul. The next closest candidate was Mitt Romney with 10% of the ballots, and Michelle Bachmann, who won the Iowa Ames straw poll by a very slight margin, got only 5% of the vote. This is very encouraging because the New Hampshire straw poll is a gauge of young Republican sentiment. These are the individuals who will define the future of Republican Party opinion, or the opinion prevailing in the successor party to the Republican Party. We obviously cannot know the future and whether the Republican Party will even last if it continues in its establishment to ignore candidates like Ron Paul. Now, of course, this raises the question of, will these impressive results also be reflected in the primaries? And this is where I would like to urge young voters in particular to take active part. The second purpose of my video today is to talk about some approaches that you can utilize if you want to help Ron Paul's campaign succeed. Of course, if you're a young voter, take an active role. Many young people feel disillusioned with the political system, understandably. Many young people feel like their voice and their vote cannot make a difference. However, if everyone felt that way, that would indeed be the outcome, because the people who are disappointed in the political system would abstain from it, and therefore their voices would not be heard. The people who are favored by the political system, who have certain special interests that they want represented in the ballot box, are going to go out and vote. So, would you rather have a slight influence, or no influence. And if enough of us think that way, we might have more than a slight influence. So let's get those straw poll numbers reflected in the votes cast for actual primary elections and hopefully even the presidential election. One approach that I strongly recommend is for you to try to get yourself eligible to vote in the Republican primaries. Of course, if you live in the US and are a US citizen, it doesn't really matter if you agree with the principles of the Republican Party as stated in its official platform. If you want to support Ron Paul, you can consider joining the Republican Party, registering as a Republican voter, as a pragmatic move. A move that will enable you to exert your own influence in favor of Ron Paul. I, for one, have many, many differences with the Republican Party establishment and even with the official Republican Party platform. However, I have great support for Ron Paul and his message of individual liberty, limited government, free markets, and a non-interventionist foreign policy. So I am willing to register as a Republican. In fact, I've already initiated that effort so that I can help Ron Paul in my state. I live in Nevada, where in 2008, Ron Paul placed second in the Nevada caucuses. With the increase in support for Ron Paul in the intervening years, as well as the increasing perceived relevance of his message among the American public, it is very likely that Ron Paul can get first place in Nevada if he has enough active support. And this also applies to many other states as well. Wherever you are, if you can possibly affect the outcome by registering as a Republican voter this time around, then by all means I recommend that you do so. It does not change your ideological stances. It does not in any way compromise your values or what you believe in. You are still an individual, and you maintain your individual positions. Indeed, it can be seen as a way of outmaneuvering the Republican Party establishment that has tried so hard to ignore Ron Paul and perhaps even to silence Ron Paul. Of course, other ways to help the Ron Paul campaign include making monetary donations and purchasing campaign signs, purchasing items from the Ron Paul store. I'm in no way affiliated with these, but I have purchased some yard signs and a magnet on the back of my car. These are common ways of getting visibility for the candidate. If you want to do more, and you're limited in your financial resources, that's fine. You can donate some of your time. Write articles, create videos, engage people in conversation about what Ron Paul actually stands for and why it is important this time around for his message to be spread and for him to get the Republican Party nomination. Indeed, it seems that the media have tried very hard to marginalize Ron Paul as essentially a wingnut. However, when individual Americans hear his message, they are attracted to it. They don't consider him at all unreasonable or crazy or utopian in any way. They see the concerns that he's raising as much more relevant to his life than essentially the idle platitudes of the establishment candidates. And furthermore, if you really want to make a difference in getting more people to support Ron Paul, try to attract individuals who don't already strongly support him or even have a strong awareness of him. One great category of individuals to look at in this respect are disaffected Democrats. Think about this. The Democrats elected Barack Obama in part because of the many glowing promises that Obama made during the 2008 campaign. He promised, for instance, to close down the prison and torture facility at Guantanamo Bay. He promised to withdraw U.S. troops from our foreign entanglements in Iraq and Afghanistan. He promised to really look into and end the torture of detainees that was taking place under the Bush administration. And he has done none of those things. Guantanamo Bay remains open. Indeed, he has officially decreed that it will remain open indefinitely. The U.S. military presence in Iraq continues under a different name. The U.S. troops there are now advisors, in quotes, rather than combat troops. In Afghanistan, even after the announced troop drawdown, at the end of Obama's second term, if that drawdown takes place to the full extent that was planned, there will be twice as many troops in Afghanistan as when Obama started. Obama has not ended the torture of detainees. He maintains numerous so-called black sites in Afghanistan, which are CIA torture prisons. He indeed has outdone Bush. He maintains that his administration has the power to unilaterally order the assassination of any U.S. citizen outside the United States. Now, if that's not tyranny, I don't know what is. And on social issues even, Obama has been a steadfast opponent of decriminalizing currently illegal drugs. He has been a steadfast opponent of legalizing gay marriage. He has fought that issue in the courts. Indeed, he has been a hypocrite even on an issue that he has claimed to support, the end of the military's don't ask, don't tell policy regarding gay service people. What he has said is that he wants to end it, but when legal challenges to that policy came, he fought those challenges in the courts. And indeed, even after Congress voted to end that don't ask, don't tell policy, the Obama administration kept fighting in the courts to put a stay on the immediate implementation of that repeal. What does that tell Democrats about the integrity of the Obama administration? Obama doesn't even represent their principles. Indeed, I would say the best description of Obama is George W. Bush on steroids. And if you communicate that message to disaffected Democrats, and also inform them that Ron Paul actually does stand for a non-interventionist foreign policy, actually does stand for more civil liberties at home, actually does stand for more freedom for minorities such as gay individuals, such as users of certain substances who do not harm other people in their use, then they might recognize that Ron Paul is a superior choice, not just to any other Republican candidate, but to Barack Obama himself. Maybe they could be convinced to at least temporarily switch their party affiliation to support Ron Paul and send Barack Obama a very clear message during the 2012 election season.